Are you listening? Damn.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Damian Hill. With me, as always, is TJ O'Connor. Tonight we have Felipe Martinez. Trash Talk is brought to you again, as always, by Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrinks Tattoo out in New Brighton, Minnesota, and the One Union. How you doing tonight, Felipe?
Yo, man. I'm good. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, I can't complain. It's almost the weekend. We're getting close. Appreciate you joining us, Felipe. I'm personally a fan of your fighting style here. It's been one we've been trying to get you on for a while. Glad you have a fight coming up. For the fans that might not be as familiar, how about a little intro as far as your background into fighting? Where do you train, things like that?
I'm from, I go to Ironworks Training Center. I joined there in 2015. Yeah, and that's how I started, man.
So you had no formal martial arts background at all before going to the Ironworks Training Center?
The only martial arts I had is that when I joined wrestling in high school as a freshman, and I made it a couple of years to state. I mean, that was about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that wrestling style definitely shows in your fighting, and the fact that you all of your training is a testament to your time at Ironworks. Just shows how good of a gym that is. Strong teammates around you. How old were you when you made the decision to be a fighter? I talk to a lot of fighters, and they'll tell you I was 10 years old. I knew I was going to. You say it found me. What's your backstory into fighting?
Well, it's always been in the back of my mind to, do something in martial arts. I've always wanted to get into some type of self-defense. And I don't know, man, one day I was like, hey, it's today or never, I got to do this. So I said, hey, honey, I'm just going to go join a gym, and here we are today.
Oh yeah,
for you.
Yeah, hell yeah, and that's one of the things I try to tell people. I'm like, tomorrow will never come. Do it today. Do it right now. Yeah. And you're one of those guys that follow that passion or that feeling, that calling. And honestly, I like the way your career has played out because you started off your career, you steadily climbed all the way up to a title, won two titles. And now you're making your pro debut, and each opponent has gotten tougher and tougher as you went along. And now you're making your pro debut against somebody who's already been a pro for a few years. I mean, you're continuing to stay in deep waters. I mean, how do you think that this is going to translate, or is this any fruition to how you plan to play out your pro career?
Honestly, I've had good mentors throughout my fighting careers. I've had Nick Emmerman and my manager Eric that's been helping me a lot, guiding me because I didn't know anything. I didn't even know if I was gonna fight, And I trained for 6 months and I said, hey, why not take a fight? And it's been them, man, been guiding me through this journey, and I keep trusting them in what they're saying, and I mean, I love this. I love the competition, so I'm just going to keep climbing, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's great to have such a good support team, people you trust around you. And, I mean, these guys you mentioned as well, such as their advisors, they're in the gym sweating with you, putting in that work with you. They're teammates as well. So that's a bond.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
exactly.
Damian mentioned the way your amateur career played out, a lot of tough competition, steadily going. Trash Talk's had our rankings now. I think it's been 5 or 6 months. You've been unanimous number one every month. I mean, you've shown it. So going into this pro debut here, speaking more about your opponent, for the fans that might know, you're fighting Josh Wiseman on September 14th for Three Rivers Throwdown. I mean, he has wrestling credentials, background. What do you know about Josh specifically that you're preparing for in this fight, or are you just focusing on what you bring to the
I think for every one of my fights, I don't obsess too much on watching on what other fighters do.
Mhm.
I've just been crafting my style, man, and uh, every one of my training partners is giving me a different look. I mean, I'm wrestling all Americans, and I'm just trusting in the process and the training that I'm being through, every camp.
Yeah, I've talked with a few fighters before, and in the fight, it doesn't matter what your background is or what
Oh,
you're supposed to be good at. It's an act react thing. If you act at the right time while they're reacting bad, it doesn't matter what you're good at, you know. And then at the same time,
Exactly.
we've seen fighters like Alexander Gustafsson go out and take down John Jones, who's never been taken down in the UFC, you know, and he has no wrestling background at all. So it fight math and matchups and everything. You can write it down on paper so many different times in so many different ways, but if we knew how it was going to play out, the fight wouldn't take place. We would already know. There'd be no curiosity, you know. But as soon as those cage doors close, anything can happen. And I mean, time and time again, the fights have proven that.
yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, I've never taken any none of my opponents lightly because in a fight anything can happen, man. It just take one hit and you could be out. So
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and going into that, it's like that's one of the things that I liked about your style too. Is like you've been able to open up and land some punches and kind of get your opponent to open up and start throwing punches back at you. And then as soon as they do that, you have a really honestly a perfectly timed takedown. I don't know how many takedowns you've actually even missed. As soon as the guy starts to open up, I mean, it seems like you're right in there and you can get them right on their back. And if you feel uncomfortable, get right back to the feet. I mean, that's just one of those things that I feel like has played. I mean, will play a factor into this fight and also into your career. Just how you've been playing along and growing throughout your career. I mean, how do you feel like the rest of your pro career might play out now that you're transitioning from an amateur?
how do I feel the what?
How do you feel like your pro career is or your amateur career is going to help you transition into a pro? Is a better way to word it.
Um, I mean, it the plan has been all along to be a pro. So I think uh,
I think whatever map and
nothing.
whatever map and road your team is have you following right now, I think it's working, and I think you're on the right path, man.
That, I'm trusting everyone, dude. Like all my training partners at the gym. I mean, I'm looking at testaments that they're going through fights and grinding out through them, and like being put on the big stage, and then hey, they can do it, I can do it. And those are the training partners that I'm getting, so I know like that I am gonna follow the footsteps. So I'm working as hard or even harder than they are. So I'm trusting the process, man.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. I mean, but when you're working with the best guys, they're only going to get better. We're just over 2 weeks out from this fight. How has camp been? How are you feeling at this point here? Any specific teammates or anybody you want to give a shout out to that's been there for you this camp?
Uh, Everyone's been there for me. I just want to give a shout out to Ironworks Training Center, man, because you got my back.
Yeah, you definitely have a solid team over there, man.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been said any better than that. I mean, we've had countless people from Ironworks on here before. The list goes on and on. And Felipe, I appreciate your time here tonight. Is there any sponsors or anybody you want to give a specific shout out to before we wrap this one up?
I just want to give a shout out to Garcia Detail LLC. Thanks, man. Arcadia Family Restaurant, Dodge dealership here in town. Um, Laura Torres for always having me my back as well. And I just want to give a shout out to Joshua, man. Thanks for stepping in there with me, and putting a show for the people.
Oh, yeah.
and it's great to have that support staff, and it's great to see your mindset going into this. It takes two to tango, and respect is a thing that goes away. So, Felipe, again, I wish you nothing but the best finishing up camp here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I ain't got nothing but respect for everyone that steps in there with me, because I know what kind of sacrifice they put into going through camps and all that training and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, you're a classy motherfucker, man.
Spoken like a true warrior. I wish you nothing but the best, sir, finishing up these last 2 weeks of camp, and I look forward to seeing your performance.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it for having me.
Damn.